Okay, the second step, I have this pretty well shaped where I want it to be. I'm just going to spray it a little bit more. It's just a little tough. It's an older piece I had, so you don't want to overly use this if you can't help it. I have had things check. Not what I mean by checking if you're new, meaning cracking. And it's not often, but it can happen. So try not to saturate it too much. You can put it in a plastic bag overnight if you spray it lightly and throw it in. That will soften it up as well. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and round this up. So we're just going to do the egg portion here. In fact, we can do the whole thing because we're just going to go up here a little ways. And this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because we're going to try to make it like the shape of an egg. But you know, do one corner at a time and do one portion, then go back and do another portion. Get another knife here. Okay. Okay. Now I want to explain something. If you're a new carver and you're just tuning in and you haven't seen any carving before, I know I get quite a few new people tuning in from time to time. What you want to remember is when you handle your knife. Okay, let me just explain this to you. What we're doing is we're using our thumb in a levy motion like so, placing the thumb on top of the blade or the handle, and then using that as a pivot. Okay, see how I'm using this as a pivot? That's one way to carve, and this is an excellent way to control your knife. You know, you never push with your arm and you never pull with your arm. You use your wrist and your hands for the cutting motion of it. You know, and actually I've often used this thumb to guide this blade a lot of times, you know, to push it through some really delicate areas that you might encounter when you carve. So just something to remember. We're going to just go ahead and chop. This is going to be chopped off anyway up the top, so we're just going to round it. And what we're trying to do, before I go further, folks, with that, you know how we have a center line here. We really need to put one in the middle here as well, okay? As close to the center as you can. Okay, whatever the center might be there, it's a little bit over. Let's put it over a little bit. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side because we are going to carve to that center line. Okay, so pick up a knife again, and we're going to trim off another section. See how good control I have on this knife. There's a couple of really important things as a new carver. You want to be able to control your knife as much as possible, and a sharp knife is very important because then you won't put as much pressure on it. You have those clean cuts that you see. Okay, it might be a little tough now and then when you go against the grain like what I'm doing now. For some reason, see the grains running around there, and it's a little tad tougher. You want to keep your fingers out of the way as much as you can. Have a glove and a thumb guard on is important, especially if you're new to this. I don't wear one because it's easier for me to teach without one. I know that doesn't excuse it, but I'm not accustomed to one. I've been carving for 30 years, so it's been a long time. But for all new carvers, I highly suggest you wear a carving glove. It will prevent a lot of headache in the long run. Believe me, folks, I cut myself every single week, if not more, when I started to carve years ago. And occasionally I still cut myself. I just want to be careful. The other way you want to possibly carve is this is a thumb guard here. It's kind of raggedy, kind of old, but what you do is if you have this thing on, it will protect you from this type of a cut. Cutting it towards yourself, okay? Just like so. And you can run it into that leather. Now you can see this leather has been used quite a bit. You may have to replace it, but that's okay. But if you're new, this is a nice way, just like peeling a potato or an apple or whatever. But I always found the way I like to do it is to do it turning it around and using the forward motion as much as possible. That's just my preference in carving. Some of you will notice I do a lot of my carvings basically all with a knife. With this one here, we'll probably end up sanding it. And I'm going to tell you folks, if you're not interested in finishing this off with a wood burner, you don't have to. You know, if you're on a tight budget, you know, you don't need to buy the wood burner. You can finish up and just paint it yellow and this white or brown for the egg. You can leave it and with a little bit of the chips that you see, if you want to give it some more character. That's entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. You can do anything you want with the style or how you'd like to finish it off. The way I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and burn it. It's going to take a little bit longer to do it that way, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay? So, I'm not going to worry about the time. So, okay, what we want to do here too, we want to establish, we don't want to go too far here. So let's just give us some nice amount of room where we're not going to cross over when we cut it upward. Okay? Just like that. We're going to leave a lot of this bill on. A lot more will come off later, but I don't want to take off too much to start. Okay? Just a lot of guidelines. Okay? A lot of guidelines. Okay. We're not done rounding this egg. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you, which you could probably buy the eggs, the round eggs that they use, the basswood eggs. I find that they're a little bit on the hard side. You will have to probably spray it, but because the bill's sticking out a little ways, I didn't know if that would be I thought this might be an easier way and a nicer project all around, but you're welcome to try it with the egg. Folks, I'll be back. I'm going to try to round this up a little bit more, and then we'll be back with another section.